plotting through the chains process. Just wanted to show you how you can plot through the chains option in 12D. And I'll just show you a few options here. So if you're not familiar with the chains, you can find that option under Utilities, Chains, and we're going to create a chain. This is the panel that comes up. The name I'm going to give this is just plotting. I'm just going to write that file here. So it's got a .chain extension on it. So simply we just go down and we just need to insert some commands down here. So this is the option you want for the insert button, and it inserts a command for you. And the option we want is under the command type here. We click on this box and we have a lot of options here, and under the execution we have plot as one of the options. So if we select that, it comes into a plot type. And then the next box down is what type of plot do we want to do, and let's say we want to do a long section plot. So instead of essentially loading the plot option here for long section and then reading your PPF file, which we've had in this job, it pretty much replaces that process here. So we can select the long plot from here, and now we need to select which PPF file do we want to use, and that's essentially the one there, and that pretty much loads that into a chain. So this function will run that plot. So let's just write that file to save it, and I'll just go to my plan view here where I've plotted the long section to a model, and simply we can just go execute on that, and you'll see here that long section has just been replotted. So that's as simple as that, really, I guess, in terms of instead of coming over here and going to plot and loading the file this way and reading it and then going to plot, that's essentially the same thing through a chain. And because it's a chain, we can process it just by a click of a button here. So with any of these options here, if you hit execute, it runs the option that you've highlighted, and down the bottom here, run, that will run the whole chain. In this case, we've only got one item in there. So we can add another one in as well. We can either insert another one here, or we can actually copy them as well. So you can use these buttons here. That's your copy, and then we can just paste, and that'll give us another command, which is your plot long section. But in this case, I want to change that to the cross section plotting. So I'll come over here and select my cross section plot type here, and what cross section file do we want to use, and that's the file I want to use there. And if you click on if you've copied it, it copies obviously the text from the previous one, and if you change anything here, you can just hit the ABC button here, and then it'll change the values on the left hand side here. So now I've got a second item that I've added, and that would plot the cross sections. Again, if I flick to my, again, the same thing, it's whether the same thing is going to your cross section for your section view here, and going to the cross plot and loading our cross section PPF file here, the plot parameter file. I'll come to my plan view here. If I execute that now, you'll see the cross sections will be replotted. And there we go, so that's replotted the cross sections. So that's the simplest sort of option for plotting through a chain, and yeah, that's how you can do that. The next thing I want to show you is we can also run screen layout files within a chain as well. So a screen layout file, if you're not sure what a screen layout file is, you can watch the previous videos that I've done for the cross section plotting, long section plotting, and plan plotting, and I describe in there what a screen layout file is. And essentially we can call a screen layout file by going File, Layouts, and then Layout Input, and I've got a couple here. to plot my long section to a DWG file, and that's going to export those long sections here. So we can run that panel there, and that'll work fine, but we can run this panel within the chain, and I'll just show you how to do that. So we want another green dot, essentially another command in here, and this time under function, if we go to the execution, there's a screen layout file option. We click on that, it's asking me what's SLF file to use, and I want to use the long section one, which I just showed you there. And that's essentially it. If you hit the ABC button, it'll populate the name here, and essentially that's created a new entry now to run that panel. And now if you run that panel, there's a file already there. We want to replace that file, yes, and then if we go to the working directory, it's just plotted that file there for me now for the long section. So again, you don't have to manually go here and load the screen layout file manually. You can just run that from here. And like I said before, to run any option here, you can select on it and you just hit execute. And if you hit run, it will run all of the green dots in order. That's one way to record to run a screen layout file. There is another option as well, which is probably slightly better, and where you can record a panel in your chain. So I'm going to record the cross section one. So I'm just going to load that panel for now, and this cross section one. So sure, I could create a screen layout file option here and run this panel, but I'll show you there's a record option. So when I'm ready to run that, so I can just hit the record button here, and then the chain disappears, and now it's actually recording, and it creates a little a record option here where you can pause, stop, and cancel the recording. So anything I do now is recorded. So what I do here, I've got my panel ready. I just go right. Yep, it's going to replace the existing file, the CAD file for the cross sections, and I go finish, and then I come here and I stop my recording. And now you can see it's created a new command for me, and it's called that write DWG. I can change that name if I wish. I can just change that to, and this was to do the plot cross section one. And the beauty about this is you can actually preview. If it's a record option, you can preview that panel if you're not sure what it is. If I just go to preview, and then it shows me what panel it will run if before I run it, if I'm not too sure. And that way, if I'm happy with that, then I can just execute that, and that will happily run and update my cross sections for you. So I guess it's probably a little bit better option to do the record. That way you haven't, this one here, you've got your external sort of screen layout file here, which it's calling. But this one here, it's inbuilt in the record because it's recorded that panel. And yeah, that's probably a better way, and that's how you can record a panel or use the screen layout file. Now the other thing I like to do as well, once these green dots get quite lots of them, that it might be difficult to read, so you can actually insert some comments. So under other, there's comment here. So I'm going to put a comment in here, and I'm just going to say plot long section, and there's my plot long section. And I can move that one up as well, because that one would write the DWG file for that long section. So you can simply move these green dots up and down by using these two buttons. So I'm going to plot my long section, then I'm going to write the DWG file, and then the same for the cross section. So what I can do, I can copy, again you can copy these, you can copy that comment there and come down and do a paste. Oops, sorry, copy that one, and come down here and do a paste, and then change that to cross section. So that's my long section commands, and there's my cross section commands. And when I'm happy with that, I can write that and save that away, and I can close that. So we can obviously recall them through the utilities chains, and now if we want to edit, we can edit that plotting chain, and we're back to where we started from. But a lot of people use the recalc panel to have it open. So if you're not sure where that is, it's under utilities recalc, and I'll have that panel down here. Because its chains are getting quite popular and a lot of people are using them, you can access the chains through your recalc panel down here. So you can edit a chain, and we can just load it from there. Or you can run a chain as well, so we can run a chain as well through that option. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you just briefly what you could add into the chains just in terms of plotting. Yeah, just thanks for watching, and I hope this was useful.